Welcome back, everyone. And we have been joined by Mark Gresser, who is our international cyclist. And Shazad gave our introduction before the break. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
And okay, so it's great. And Shazad's going to get.
And Gresser is obviously from Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Previous week we had two more people who were riding on their bikes. They were going through Pakistan. Okay. Yeah, motorbikes. They were going through Pakistan. So what is it with Australia? Nobody wants to stay back at home.
No, everyone's pretty adventurous, I think. As soon as you finish studies, the first thing people want to do is just get out and see the world and understand a bit more about it.
Okay, excellent. That's
yeah, that is amazing. But other than that, since I was going through your profile, so you know, that was a very interesting interview. First of all, that's something I need to say because it was on a magazine, and it started with something where it was like that, you know, you are in love with elderly women, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm not really getting it. So what is it about?
I have lots of time to think when I'm cycling, so I thought up a way of. And about article websites always have the about section. I just thought I'd make it a little bit more interesting and in a creative way just introduce my love of nature, Mother Earth. So I told a little story about that.
So when did you actually realize that, you know, you were in love with Mother Nature and you want to probably go around and, you know, see what it is like to be on a bicycle as well?
I think it developed slowly as I grew up in Australia. I come from Western Australia. I grew up in an area called the Perth Hills, which is hilly country, forests. So for weekends and after school, I'd spend time mountain biking in the hills and just spend time outside. Mum and Dad were always encouraging my brothers and my sister and I just to get out, spend our time outdoors. So I think it grew from there and then developed into an academic interest.
Okay, yeah, and so then you moved on and you became a zoologist.
Yes.
Okay, and then you worked for a few years. So tell us about how you got to this journey and how this started.
I was, when I finished studies, I was keen to travel. So I went backpacking, as many Australians do, when they finish studying. And it was then that I saw someone travelling on a bicycle, and I had never seen it before. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know, I was stuck to catching buses and trains and timetables, whereas this guy that I saw on a bicycle had absolute freedom. He could go where he wanted, whenever he wanted, and I wanted to do the same.
And the cost is very less. It's all, you just have to fuel your own self, I think.
That's right,
what it is.
And that was part of the interest because I'm interested in the environment and conservation. It's an environmentally friendly way to get around.
Okay, excellent. Now, tell us, you've so far been to 11 countries, but how did you start preparing for a journey? Like, when you decided I want to do this and be free and have my freedom, how did you decide I'm going to travel the world riding a bike, and then how did you prepare for it?
It probably goes back to when I was backpacking and first saw someone cycling. When I continued backpacking, I got to America, I bought a cheap bike, bought some bags, started cycling, and I gave up after 2 weeks. I found it too hard, no preparation, no planning. So I did end up going back home, worked as a zoologist for 3 years. During that time, I was able to save the money I needed and do the research. So there was limited resources, I felt, at home to talk to people, but luckily these days with the internet, other people who have done it have written blogs, so I spent a lot of time reading. And
amazing that is. But other than that, you know, obviously you gave up after 2 weeks, and you said that there was not much of research done, or you know, not a lot of hard work put in. But other than that, you know, okay, 3 years gone, you've saved enough money. Now you're about to embark on your journey as well. So then, how many people were there to actually support you with the idea that you want to go around the world on a bicycle?
Just my friends and family. I didn't really publicise the fact. I knew that, in a way, I knew that there was a chance I'd give up again, so I didn't perhaps want to tell so many people, but I was definitely more committed this time. But it was simply friends and family and my family that waved me off. I literally rode out of the driveway onto the street. And
then out of 11 countries, would you mind naming them as well, so that we can probably decide, okay, which country was best and which wasn't?
Yeah, no worries. It includes Australia, and then I went to Timor-Leste, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, India, and now
That
Pakistan.
seems to be like a popular route or not?
Well,
was that actually a route, or do you guys just make it up?
For me, it was kind of as direct as you can get to start cycling around the world from Australia.
Okay, sorry. I have to ask you now. Okay, you gave up after 2 weeks. Like, You've made all these 11 countries. I mean, how many hours a day do you ride?
Exactly, that's
How
the exact thing which I was about to
How
ask.
fast do you ride? I mean,
Yeah.
like, don't you get stitches? Doesn't it get hot? Like, I don't understand.
It changes all of the time because
Yeah.
it depends on the terrain. Is it mountainous or is it flat? The weather, for example, here in Pakistan the last few days, you're talking about water issues and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Everyone to keep hydrated. It's been very hot, so that affects how far I ride. On average, I would cover, if it's not too challenging terrain, I'd cover 100 kilometres each
100
day.
kilometers a day.
A day.
Yeah.
So how many days? How many days does it take to probably go through one country?
It depends on the visa, actually.
Yeah.
So what has tended, I never made any plans from the beginning, but what has tended to happen is I tend to love spending time in each country and I stay there until the very last day that I have to leave.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, now,
All right, so we do even have pictures of your journey as well, and
Yeah.
we're definitely going to ask you some interesting facts about your journey. But there's one more thing which I wanted to ask. What do you carry in these bags?
It's everything
They're
I need
everywhere.
to survive, and it's kind of like having...
Would you mind if you can take these things out as well?
I actually don't have the objects themselves inside the bags. It's just...
They're just a show
I've left
today.
them at home, yes.
Yeah.
But I've got camping equipment, so I can sleep wherever I want in a tent. I've got cooking equipment, so I can cook food. I've got my cameras to record the journey.
Okay.
And how much weight do you think you've lost since the time you've
Oh.
been on this journey? Yeah.
My weight fluctuates, but generally I look like this anyway.
Okay, great. Now, okay. So now, when you were preparing and when you were getting all like the tent, all the camping stuff, how much, like roughly, like the preparation financially? How is it an expensive task you take?
It can be, so it depends what route you want to take. I was working as a zoologist and I felt I had the time to save up money, buy quality gear. So I went down the route of buying the best stuff that I could find.
Okay.
And I didn't mind spending more time at home working so I could
Okay.
have this gear. But at the end of the day, all you need is 2 wheels that roll. Some people do it on the cheapest bikes ever and still manage to...
I think
get
there
around.
will be a day when we'll be actually having somebody who's going through the world on roller skates as well. I think
Exactly,
that's what
yeah.
it's
Probably
gonna
already
come down to.
doing it. But another thing, okay, now what I want to ask you, you've been traveling, you could do 100 kilometers a day.
Yeah.
How is it? Because you've been cycling by yourself.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Doesn't it get lonely, or how do you do it? And you said you think a lot, like, what's going
Yeah,
on?
it does get lonely sometimes, but I'm also of a personality type where it doesn't affect me negatively. So lonely times, they don't have to be a negative experience.
Absolutely.
It makes you appreciate the life you've come from, your family and friends. And I do enjoy certain amounts of solitude. I enjoy being by myself in remote areas,
Excellent.
traveling. So
And it gives you time to think as well. But one
Exactly.
personal question, very sorry.
worries.
Known for that.
He's
too
not
as well.
sorry, because he does this to
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay. Were you in a relationship when you left from Australia?
when I left from Australia, no, I wasn't. But
Now
it's-
you are.
I'm not now, no. So that's one thing that plays on my mind is the incompatibility between traveling the world like this and relationships.
Okay.
In a place like Pakistan, people ask, what is your name? And then they ask, are you married?
Yeah.
And I have to say no, then they ask, why are you not married? And yeah.
This.
Obviously
just
somebody-
Just point to this,
Yeah,
and like this
yeah.
is why.
He's riding to
Yeah.
the bicycle. I think that's what it is. He's
Yeah.
married to a bicycle. But other than
Okay.
that, now let's talk about your worst experiences, because majority
on
of
to
the
the
time,
best.
the only thing which comes up to my head whenever we talk about traveling
Yep.
is the visa policies of different countries and when you're crossing the borders as well. So the
Yeah.
worst experience you've ever had so far, what was it?
It's related to injuries.
Oh.
Okay.
So all my dealings with people, with borders, have been fantastic.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just one particular time I can talk about is when I was in Indonesia and it was the monsoon season, so it was raining every day. You can imagine being on a seat, skin rubbing when it's wet all day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
basically got
Let's not get into further detail.
yes, yeah. So I got infected, sores get infected very easily. So there was a period of time where I couldn't cycle
Oh,
for
no.
six weeks. That happened twice actually.
Oh, gosh.
So it was during these times where I'm like, I'm stuck in a place.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Oh, gosh.
Getting depressed because I'm not moving anywhere, not making any progress in my journey, in pain.
Okay.
So any accidents meanwhile, because you've been through 11 countries now.
Yeah. Small ones. In Nepal, for example, I was riding down a mountain,
Yeah.
going about 35 kilometres per hour, and my front tyre blew. and that when your front tire blows, you lose control.
Oh no.
And I was incredibly lucky because if I went left, I would have shot straight off the edge of the mountain. There was no safety barriers, but it pulled me right and I smashed into the mountainside, and I did hurt myself, but
It's better than going
the-
off the edge
exactly.
of the road. Oh my God. Okay, that's one of my fears actually when driving on these hills. That I'm just going to drive off the end.
I think that's one of my fears as well when you're driving on a motorway.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
God forbid if your tire bursts. So please do check on your tires as
Okay,
well.
now in regards to, we'll find out how long this whole journey and what you plan to do for the whole thing. But out of the 11 countries, you said you've had no problem with visas, but it's taken time.
Yeah.
But what, so far out of all of them, what are other countries that stick out most in your mind? What are your favorite places?
I always
You are
find
studying in Pakistan though, so that has to be in the list. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with Myanmar. It's difficult to choose a favourite because every country offers unique experiences, but Myanmar is the place that I'd like to revisit, go back to first. Part of that is because my time got cut short because I had a knee infection that prevented me from riding, so I didn't see as much as I would have liked. But in the time I spent there, it was the most mind-blowing experience that I had.
Wow.
And part of that is because Myanmar, it only recently opened itself up to tourism, so it's very easy to get off the beaten track, and I was passing through villages that I was told that people had never seen a foreigner in their lives before, so
really?
experiences like that.
So, going through villages and places like these where people obviously do not speak the native language as well. So how do you think you have been communicating with them?
It's surprising how much you can communicate
Even without talking?
without talking.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is my needs are simple. So I need a place to set up my tent.
Yeah.
I need to find food and water. And
Food,
exactly.
water.
So have you been
sleep.
arrested so far on your journey?
No, not yet. So
Or have
maybe-
you encountered cops or policemen saying something, or probably some hurdles which were there?
I get stopped in certain countries where there is a lot of military presence and police presence. Sometimes I get stopped more often than others, but mostly it's because they're curious and they want to ask questions. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And now, so you've gone to all of these countries, and so you've also tasted the special food, special delicacies, and all these things. What are the things that have been sticking out to you most?
In terms of food,
In terms of food.
I love the food of Indonesia.
Yeah.
Part of that is because it's so readily available. I don't even have to plan for food. When I get hungry, there's a street stall with fresh food that's just been cooked, readily available. Getting to Pakistan has been a surprise because I love the Pakistani food. Previously I spent time in India and I thought, perhaps the food's similar, but there is quite a distinct difference. And
Great. I'm glad you said that because a lot
Let's
of people
highlight
don't
the difference as well. So why do you think it's different?
Well, the spices, it is a bit more spicy, which I absolutely love because I like spicy food. I've had some incredible biryani while I've been here.
Yeah, biryani is the best. I had biryani.
Yeah, everybody who's not from Pakistan comes over here loves biryani for sure.
Yeah.
And where did you eat it from though?
I was cycling close to lunchtime and some guys pulled up next to me and they invited me to lunch and they took me to a restaurant.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So, but are you picky about your restaurants or which
No,
restaurant you're
not
going
at
to
all.
eat from, or you can eat from anywhere and there's no problem with your stomach as well?
At the moment, I need to be careful because India, I got sick very quickly, so I'm a bit more conscious than I used to be. But I've started the journey not worrying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now tell us, you came to Pakistan. Now, which places have you visited, and which ones are you yet to see?
Haven't seen much so far, so I entered through the Wagah border into Lahore.
Oh, right, so you went to Lahore?
Yeah, Lahore was the first city that I saw, and I had a wonderful time there. A guy.
How was it cycling in Lahore? Everyone who lives in Pakistan or Pakistani and abroad knows.
On Canal Road.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Yeah.
It was busy when I arrived because it was around midday.
Okay.
When I was getting into the centre of the city.
Okay.
And I'm quite used to it these days though. So I've got a mirror. It's perhaps the most important feature on my bike is my little mirror, so I can keep an eye on traffic behind me.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually fun because it's crazy and thrilling to survive on the roads.
Yeah,
in a place like
But I
Lahore.
cannot see a helmet over here. But have you been riding without a helmet?
No, I ride with a helmet every
good.
single day.
And then from Lahore to Islamabad, you came all the way from GT Road?
Yeah. So it took 2.5 days. Yeah.
And where did you stay while you were riding? And if it's 2.5 days already, so if it's nighttime, where would you stay? Wherever you find a place, you'll stay.
Yeah, the first night was wonderful because I'd been pulled over, like I said before, the police sometimes want to chat. So the police were chatting to me, and this friendly family who had said hello as they drove past stopped, and they actually told the police that I was their friend because they thought the police were hassling me. So they said, oh, no, he's my friend, everything's all right. And then they actually ended up inviting me to their house. And they had a buffalo dairy with 30 buffaloes, and they grew wheat. So I got to have a tour of their farm, which was excellent.
That's
and
amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so and now from Islamabad. Oh, so when you reached Islamabad, what did you feel?
I got into Rawalpindi,
Okay.
so I never cycled into Islamabad itself. And while I've been here, I've been hanging out with Brigadier Akram Khan, who is the president of the Adventure Foundation of Pakistan.
Oh, yes, yes.
So he's been a great contact, and I've spent some time at the foundation, which has been a great place to read up about Pakistan and what's ahead of me as I head further north.
So tell us, what is ahead of you?
Within Pakistan, I'm going to jump on the bicycle and head north. I'd love to see the Karakoram Highway. It's quite famous for the scenery. You just need to Google the name, and the photos are absolutely spectacular.
Amazing. And once you're done with that, where are you heading?
Then from Pakistan, I cross the border into China,
All right.
then Kyrgyzstan, and then across Central Asia and Europe.
Okay. Okay. And now, how long is because we know your other interests, and we really want to get to that as well. But how much longer is this journey and everything?
For me, it's limited by the money that I saved up in the 3 years working before I left. I'd like to reach the United Kingdom by the end of the year or early next year. I've got a deadline to return to Australia in January because my sister gets married.
Oh, great.
So I have to be home.
Okay,
in
excellent.
January.
And you
Very,
have to
like,
complete your journey anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what about your habit of sketching? So while you're cycling, do you sketch meanwhile?
Must be
as well?
amazing.
Yeah, so it's important to have hobbies that take your mind away from the challenges of cycling, and for me that's art. I've always had an interest in
Put some
art.
Yeah.
images up.
So that's a drawing from Timor-Leste.
Okay.
So wherever you go, you start sketching as well if you see
Yeah,
something interesting.
I'd prefer drawing than taking photos. It takes more time, but that's the good thing about it because it lets me soak in the atmosphere of the place I'm in rather than just walking past, quick photo and leaving.
And okay, so now when you so you're doing all the sketching while you're going, you know, you're having a really incredible experience by the sounds of it. What do you, when you go back, like what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause, I mean, how do you get back to normal life?
I have no idea. I'll have to see what happens when I have to face those questions. But
So where are these places? Tell us.
that was in Australia. That was, that's a friend's dog.
Okay.
I stayed, that's a beach I slept on in Australia.
We've seen this
Yeah,
one.
we see this one.
There was one after this.
That was a beach in Indonesia called
Okay.
Koka Beach.
This one?
That was Karajini in Australia. That's a bird that lives in northern Australia. And that's Perth City, so that's where I'm from.
Excellent.
Well, amazing
Lovely.
that is. But one last thing which I want to ask, and that is, so when usually you call your parents or your your siblings back home and you tell them that this is where I am.
Yeah.
So they obviously try to judge your mood by your vocal tone. So how many times do you think it has happened that they have actually asked, are you even fine? Are you doing well? Why did you just come back
Why are you
home?
going to that country? Are you insane?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of my communication is written, so they don't necessarily pick up on that, but certainly there have been times where I've needed the support, like when I had injuries and I'm feeling depressed, where, Mum, like, you know, mums are always good at those sorts of things, so she knows how I'm feeling when I was talking to her in that instance. Yeah, she was able to pick my mood up. And,
Okay.
Amazing.
And so, and they're encouraging you and supporting you throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you very much for being here.
And if you'd like, if there's any message you'd like to give to anyone who's like maybe looking to travel or, you know, encourage them to visit.
On a bicycle.
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps if I was to give one message, it would be to realise that the hardest thing is the first step, to actually leave home. It becomes much easier after that, but it's just having that courage to just say, right, I'm doing it, and just going off and...
Amazing that is.
Excellent.
Thank you
well,
very much for coming
yes.
over. You know,
Thank you
it
very
was
much.
a pleasure. And
It
whenever
was.
you're coming back, if on your way back, you know, you landed over here in Pakistan, please do come over the show as well.
Good luck as well.
Thank you
and
very much.
we will be following your journey and hope you'll make it to your sister's wedding in time as well.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more as I cycle around the world, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's another video for you here. I have a daily diary on Facebook and photos on Instagram, so check them out in the links below. Once again, thank you. Stay safe, never stop dreaming, and I'll see you next time.